Imagine, if you will, a world where everything you desire is already yours. A world where the mere act of wanting something pushes it further away, while the state of already possessing it in your imagination draws it closer to your physical reality. This is not a fanciful notion, but the very law by which our universe operates. Let us begin by understanding that your consciousness is the only reality. Everything that you perceive in your outer world is but a reflection of your inner states. When you say "I want" or "I need," you are affirming to the universe that you do not have, and in doing so, you perpetuate that very state of lack. But when you shift your consciousness to a state of already having, when you no longer need it, because in your imagine you already possess it, that is when the outer world begins to rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. Consider for a moment the nature of God. In Scripture are told, "I am that I am." This is not merely a name, but a description of the creative power that resides within each of us. When you say "I am," you are invoking this divine power. And whatever falls, "I am" becomes the mold into which your life experiences are cast. So when you no longer need something, when you have moved beyond the state of wanting and into the state of being, you are aligning yourself with this creative power. You are declaring to the universe, "I am that which I desire to be," and the universe, faithful to its nature, begins to reflect this new state of being. Let me share with you a principle that may at first seem counterintuitive, but which holds the key to unlocking this paradox. The principle is this: act as though it were impossible to fail. When you truly embody this principle, you are no longer striving or struggling to achieve. You are simply being that which you desire to be. Imagine a man who desires wealth. As long as he focuses on his current lack of money, as long as he says, "I need more money" or "I want to be rich," he is affirming his current state of poverty. But the moment he begins to feel wealthy, when he walks and talks and thinks as a wealthy person would, even before a single penny has changed in his bank account, he has set in motion the forces that will bring about his financial abundance. This is the art of revision, of rewriting your own story. You see, my dear friends, time is merely a concept created by our consciousness. The past, present, and future exist simultaneously in the eternal now. When you revise your concept of self, when you live from the end as though your desire were already fulfilled, you are really roast and present and future all at once. But here is where the paradox deepens. As you begin to live in this state of fulfillment, as you embody the consciousness of already having that which you desire, something miraculous happens. You begin to detach from the outcome. The burning need, the desperate wanting begins to fade away. And it is precisely in this moment of detachment that your desire often manifests in the physical world. Why is this so? Because in releasing your attachment, in no longer needing it, you have aligned yourself with the natural flow of the universe. You have moved from a state of resistance, of pushing against what is, to a state of allowance. And in this state of allowance, miracles become commonplace. Think of it like this. When you clench your fist tightly around something, your muscles become tense, rigid. But when you relax your grip, when you open your hand, you create space for new things to come into your life. This is the essence of letting go, of no longer needing. But let me be clear, my friends. This is not about becoming indifferent or apathetic, far from it. This is about cultivating a deep, unshakable faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. It is about knowing with every fiber of your being that what you desire is already yours in the realm of imagination, and therefore must manifest in your physical reality. Remember, the outer world is dead. It has no life of its own. It is your consciousness that animates it, that gives it meaning and form. When you change your consciousness, when you shift your inner state, the outer world has no choice but to conform to this new pattern. Let us explore this concept further through the lens of love and relationships. Many seek a loving partner, focusing on their current state of loneliness or lack. They say, "I want to find my soulmate," or "I need someone to complete me." But in doing so, they are affirming their incompleteness, their lack of love. Now imagine instead that you begin to embody the state of being in a loving relationship. You feel the warmth, the joy, the companionship, as though your ideal partner were already by your side. You live each day from this state of fulfillment. What happens then? Often it is precisely when you no longer feel the desperate need for a relationship that the perfect partner appears in your life. This is not coincidence or chance. This is the law of assumption at work. By assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled by living in the end, you have changed your vibration, your energy, and the universe in its infinite wisdom brings to you that which matches your new state of being. But the paradox goes even deeper. As you begin to live from this state of fulfillment, as you embody the consciousness of already having a loving relationship, you may find that your need for an external partner diminishes. You discover that the love you sought outside yourself was always within you, and in this discovery, you become truly whole, truly complete. It is from this place of wholeness that you can then enter into a relationship, not from a place of need or lack, but from a place of abundance and joy. And it is these relationships born of wholeness rather than need that are often the most fulfilling and lasting. The same principle applies to all areas of life, health, career, personal growth. When you no longer need perfect health because you already feel vibrant and alive in your imagination, that is when your body often begins to heal itself. When you no longer desperately seek success because you already feel successful in your mind's eye, that is when opportunities seem to magically appear. But let me caution you, my friends, this is not about wishful thinking or idle daydreaming. This is about a disciplined use of your imagination, coupled with a deep, unwavering faith in the creative power of your consciousness. It requires persistence and patience, for while the seed of your desires planted instantly in the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, it may take time for that seed to grow and bear fruit in your physical reality. During this period of gestation, you must guard your mind carefully, for doubts and fears will try to creep in attempting to uproot the seed you have planted. This is where many falter, where many give up just before their desire is about to manifest. They say, "I tried this and it doesn't work." But in saying so, they are once again affirming lack, once again pushing away that which they desire. Instead, you must persist in your assumption. You must live each day as though your desire were already fulfilled, regardless of any contrary evidence presented by your senses. For remember, your senses only show you a reflection of past states of consciousness. They cannot show you what is coming, what is already set in motion by your shift in consciousness. This persistence in assumption is what I call the art of patience. It is not a passive waiting, but an active state of being. It is living each day from the consciousness of already being or having that which you desire, knowing with unshakable faith that it must manifest in your physical reality. And here we come to another aspect of the paradox. As you persist in this state, as you continue to live from the end, something remarkable happens. You begin to enjoy the journey itself. The present moment becomes infused with the joy and fulfillment of your imagined future. And in this enjoyment of the present, in this cessation of striving for a future state, you open yourself up even more fully to receiving that which you have imagined. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. Sold into slavery by his brothers, imprisoned unjustly, he could have focused on his current circumstances, on his need to escape his situation. But instead, he lived from the state of being a ruler, of being wise and respected. And in time he rose to become second only to Pharaoh in all of Egypt. Joseph's story illustrates a crucial point. Your circumstances do not determine your state of consciousness. Rather, your state of consciousness determines your circumstances. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what challenges you face, you have the power to choose your inner state to live from the end. This is the true meaning of free will. It is not the ability to control external events, but the power to choose your inner state regardless of external circumstances. And in choosing your inner state, in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you set in motion the forces that will reshape your outer world. But let us delve even deeper into this paradox. As you begin to master this art of living from the end, as you become adept at assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you may find that your desires themselves begin to change. What once seemed crucial and all-important may fade in significance. New higher aspirations may take their place. This too is part of the paradox of manifestation, for as you align yourself more and more with your true self, with the divine creative power within you, your desires naturally evolve. You begin to want not just for yourself, but for the greater good. Your manifestations become not just personal achievements, but gifts to the world. And here we touch upon the ultimate paradox. As you master the art of manifestation, as you learn to create your reality through the power of your consciousness, you may find that your greatest desire becomes simply to be an instrument of the divine, to allow the infinite creative power to flow through you unimpeded, to manifest not for personal gain, but for the upliftment of all. In this state, you no longer manifest from a place of lack or need. You manifest from a place of abundance, of overflowing love and creativity. And it is in this state that the most miraculous manifestations often occur. For when you align yourself fully with the divine creative power, when you become a clear channel for this power to flow into the world, you become capable of manifesting not just personal desires, but profound transformations that benefit all of humanity. This, my dear friends, is the highest form of manifestation. It is no longer about getting, but about giving. It is no longer about fulfilling personal desires, but about allowing yourself to be used as an instrument of the divine will. And paradoxically, it is in this state of complete surrender, of no longer needing or wanting anything for yourself, that you often receive more abundance than you ever dreamed possible. But how does one reach this exalted state? How does one move from manifesting personal desires to becoming a channel for divine manifestation? The path is the same as we have been discussing. It begins with assuming the state of the wish, fulfilled with living from the end. But in this case, the end you are living from is the state of being one with the divine creative power. Imagine yourself as a clear channel, a perfect instrument through which the infinite creativity of the universe flows. Feel the joy, the peace, the sense of purpose that comes with this state. Live each day from this consciousness and watch as your life transforms in ways you never imagined possible. This is not to say that you should deny or suppress your personal desires. Rather, it is about expanding your consciousness to include ever greater, more inclusive desires. It is about aligning your personal will with the divine will, recognizing that at the deepest level they are one and the same. As you practice this, you may find that the paradox of manifestation results itself. For when you are fully aligned with the divine creative power, when you are living as a clear channel for this power, there is no separation between wanting and having, between desiring and manifesting. In this state, creation becomes effortless, instantaneous. But let me caution you once again, this state is not reached through striving or effort. It is not something you can force or make happen through sheer willpower. Rather, it is a state that you allow yourself to fall into, like sinking into a warm bath. It comes through surrender, through letting go of all resistance, all doubt, all fear. This surrender, this letting go brings us full circle to where we began. For it is in the state of no longer needing, of no longer desperately wanting, that we open ourselves fully to receiving. It is when we release our tight grip on our desires that we create the space for them to manifest. So, my dear friends, as you go forth from here, I urge you to practice this art of living from the end. Choose a desire, something you wish to manifest in your life. Then, instead of focusing on the lack of it, on the wanting of it, immerse yourself in the feeling of already having it. Live each day from that state of fulfillment. But go beyond this. Expand your consciousness to include ever greater desires. Allow yourself to become a channel for the divine creative power. Live from the state of being one with this power, of allowing it to flow through you unimpeded. And as you do this, watch for the paradox to unfold in your life. Notice how, as you release your attachment to outcomes, as you no longer desperately need your desires to manifest, They often appear in your life with an ease and grace that seems miraculous. Remember, the outer world is but a reflection of your inner state. Change your inner state, and the outer world must change to match it. This is the law, immutable and eternal. But the greatest change, the most profound transformation, comes when you align yourself fully with the divine creative power within you. In this alignment, in this surrender, you discover the ultimate truth that you are not separate from the creative power of the universe, but are one with it. You are not merely a creature in the universe, but are the universe expressing itself in human form. And in this realization, all paradoxes dissolve, all limitations fall away. So go forth, my friends, and live from this truth. Live each day as though all your desires were already fulfilled, as though you were already one with the infinite creative power of the universe. For in truth you are, and as you live from this truth, you will manifest miracles not just in your own life, but in the lives of all those around you. This is your birthright, your true nature. Claim it, live it, be it, and watch as the palace of manifestation unfolds in your life, bringing you more abundance, more joy, more love than you ever dreamed possible. For when you no longer need it, when you no longer cling to it with desperate desire, that is when it manifests. This is the paradox, and this is the promise. Embrace it, embody it, and step into the limitless life that awaits you. Remember, my dear friends, that this journey of manifestation is not about accumulating things or achievements. It is about becoming more of who you truly are. It is about allowing the divine essence within you to express itself more fully in your life. As you continue to practice living from the end, as you persist in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you will find that your entire being begins to shift. Your thoughts, your emotions, your very vibration aligns more and more with the reality you desire to create. This alignment is key for manifestation, is not about forcing the universe to bend to your will. It is about aligning yourself with the natural flow of creation, about becoming a conscious co-creator with the universe. Think of it like tuning a radio. When you tune to a specific frequency, you receive the broadcast on that frequency. Similarly, when you tune your consciousness to the frequency of your desired reality, you begin to receive the experiences, opportunities, and circumstances that match that frequency. But here's another paradox. The more you practice this art of manifestation, the more you realize that the true joy lies not in the getting but in the being. The thrill is not in acquiring the object of your desire, but in experiencing yourself as the person who has that desire fulfilled. This shift in focus from getting to being is transformative. It frees you from the endless cycle of wanting and acquiring only to want more. Instead, it allows you to find fulfillment in the present moment, in the very act of being the person you aspire to be. And here's where the paradox deepens even further. As you find this fulfillment in being rather than getting, you often find that the things you once desperately wanted begin to flow into your life with ease. But by then you may find that you no longer need them in the way you once did. You appreciate them, you enjoy them, but your happiness, your sense of self-worth no longer depends on them. This state of non-attachment, of appreciating without needing, is the fertile ground in which miracles grow. It is a state of being that allows the universe to surprise and delight you with manifestations beyond your wildest dreams. But let me be clear. This state of non-attachment does not mean becoming passive or indifferent. On the contrary, it allows you to engage with life more fully, more passionately than ever before. Because when your happiness no longer depends on specific outcomes, you are free to throw yourself wholeheartedly into the experience, every endeavor. This is the state of inspired action, action taken not from a place of lack or need, but from a place of joy of creative self-expression. And it is this inspired action coupled with your aligned state of being that often leads to the most magnificent manifestations. Consider the great innovators and creators throughout history. They did not create from a place of desperate need or want. They created from a place of inspired vision, of seeing possibilities where others saw only limitations. They lived from the end, embodying the reality they wished to create long before it manifested in the physical world. This brings us to another crucial aspect of the paradox of manifestation, the role of faith. Faith in this context is not blind belief or wishful thinking. It is a deep, unshakable knowing that what you have imagined must come to pass. It is the ability to see the invisible, to feel the intangible, to believe the incredible. This kind of faith is not always easy to maintain, especially when your physical senses tell you that nothing has changed. This is where persistence comes in. Persistence in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Persistence in living from the end, even when all evidence seems to contradict your inner knowing. Remember, my dear friends, that your senses only show you the world as it was, not as it is becoming. They show you the effects of past thoughts and beliefs, not the causes you are setting in motion with your current state of consciousness. This is why it's crucial to base your faith not on what your eyes see, but on what your imagination shows you. For your imagination is the gateway to the infinite possibilities that exist in the realm of pure potential. It is through your imagination that you connect with the creative power of the universe. But here's another paradox. While faith is crucial, attachment to outcomes can hinder manifestation. This is where the art of surrendering comes in. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up on your desires. It means releasing your attachment to how and when they will manifest. When you surrender in this way, you open yourself up to possibilities beyond what your limited human mind can conceive. You allow the infinite intelligence of the universe to bring about your manifestation in ways that are often far more wonderful than anything you could have planned. This surrender, this letting go, is what allows the paradox of manifestation to unfold in your life. When you no longer need it, when you're no longer desperate for it, that's often when it appears. Because in that state of surrender, of non-attachment, you are most aligned with the natural flow of creation. Think of it like planting a seed. You plant the seed, your desire, in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind through imagination and feeling. You water it with your faith and persistence in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. But then you must let it grow in its own time. You don't dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing. You trust in the unseen processes that are bringing your desire to fruition. This trustless patience is an integral part of the manifestation process. It allows the universe to work its magic to bring together all the elements necessary for your desire to manifest in the best possible way. But patience doesn't mean passivity. While you're waiting for your desire to manifest, live fully in the present moment. Enjoy the journey. Find ways to embody the essence of what you're desiring right now. If you're manifesting wealth, find ways to feel abundant in your current circumstances. If you're manifesting love, be loving to yourself and others. This brings us to another important point. Manifestation is not just about changing your external reality. It's about transforming yourself in the process. As you persist in living from the end, as you continue to embody the person who already has what you desire, you undergo a profound inner transformation. You begin to shed limiting beliefs and negative thought patterns. You start to see yourself in the world around you in a new light. You become more confident, more empowered, more aligned with your true self. And it is this inner transformation that often paves the way for the outer manifestation. Because as you change, your vibration changes. And as your vibration changes, you naturally attract experiences and circumstances that match your new elevated state of being. This is why the paradox of manifestation is so powerful. It's not just about getting what you want. It's about becoming the person who naturally attracts and creates what you want. It's about aligning yourself with the abundance, love, and success that are your birthright. As we near the end of our exploration of this profound paradox, I want to leave you with a final thought. The ultimate goal of manifestation is not to accumulate things or achievements. It's to fully express your divine nature, to become a clear channel through which the infinite creativity of the universe can freet. When you reach this state, you no longer manifest from a place of lack or need. You manifest from a place of abundance, of overflowing love and creativity. your desires become aligned with the highest good for all, and paradoxically, it's in this state of complete surrendering that you often experience the most magnificent manifestations. So, my dear friends, as you go forth from here, remember the paradox we've explored tonight. Remember that when you no longer need it, when you fully embody the state of already having it, that's when it often manifests. Alive from the end, persist in the assumption of your wish fulfilled. Have faith in the unseen processes that are bringing your desires to fruition. Surrender your attachment to outcomes. Allow yourself to be transformed in the process. And above all, never forget that you are not separate from the creative power of the universe. You are one with it. You are it, expressing itself in human form. Embody this truth. Live from this knowing and watch as miracles unfold in your life. The paradox of manifestation is not just a principle to be understood intellectually. It is a truth to be lived, to be experienced in every moment of your existence. It is an invitation to step into your true power, to claim your divine heritage as a creator of your reality. So go forth, my friends, and create. Create with joy, with love, with the full knowledge of your onness with the infinite. For in doing so, you not only manifest your desires, but you fulfill the very purpose of your existence to be a living expression of the divine creative power that flows through all things. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. Everything you see, everything you experience is a reflection of your own consciousness. Change your consciousness and you change your world. This is the promise and the challenge of the paradox of manifestation. Embrace it fully, live it boldly, and watch as your life transforms in ways more beautiful and magnificent than you ever dare to imagine. For when you no longer need it, when you are it, that is when it manifests. This is the paradox, and this is the promise. Now go and live it. What does it mean when I say God is about to surprise you? It means that the power of your own imagination, which is God, is constantly working into your physical reality, that which you have impressed upon it through your assumptions and beliefs. And when these manifestations occur, they often come in ways so wonderful, so unexpected, that they can only be described as divine surprises. Many of you are waiting for miracles to happen to you, as though they were events orchestrated by some external deity. But I tell you this, the miracle worker dwells within you. The kingdom of God is within you, as Scripture tells us. You do not need to look outside yourself for power or causation. The entire universe is contained within your consciousness. And by changing your conception of yourself, you change your world. Consider for a moment, have you ever had an experience where something you desired deeply suddenly manifested in your life in a way you could never have planned or anticipated? Perhaps it was an opportunity, a relationship, or a solution to a problem that appeared so perfectly timed, so exquisitely arranged that it seemed miraculous. This was not coincidence or luck. It was the law of assumption at work. It was God, your imagination, surprising you with the harvest of seeds you had planted through your dominant thoughts and feeling. The Scripture tells us with God all things are possible. Since God is your imagination, it follows that all things are possible to your imagination. There is no limit to what you can be, do, or have. When you understand and apply this principle, the life-changing miracles that are coming to you are not dependent on external circumstances, on the economy, on other people, or anything outside of your own marvelous creative consciousness. Let me share with you a story from my own experience. Some years ago, I knew a man who was in dire financial circumstances. He had lost his business, was deeply in debt, and could see no way out of his situation. Conventional wisdom would suggest that his future was bleak. But this man discovered the principle I am sharing with you tonight. Instead of dwelling on his problems, he began to imagine himself as financially secure, debt-free, and living in abundance. He would fall asleep each night feeling the joy and gratitude of his imagined state during his days whenever doubts or fears arose. He would gently but firmly return to his assumption of wealth and security. He did not concern himself with how his circumstances would change. He simply persisted in his assumption. Within a few months, a series of events occurred that no one, least of all himself, could have predicted or planned. A business associate whom he had not seen in years contacted him with an opportunity. This led to a partnership, which in turn led to the creation of a new business venture that proved immensely successful. Not only was he able to clear his debts, but he found himself in a financial position far superior to anything he had known before. Did this man pray to an external God for deliverance? No. Did he struggle and strive, pushing against external circumstances? No, he simply changed his concept of himself, and in doing so changed his world. The God within him, his own wonderful human imagination, surprised him with miracles that transformed his life. This is what I mean when I say that God is about to surprise you with life-changing miracles. But these surprises can only come when you understand the law by which they operate. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Your assumptions, whether conscious or unconscious, direct the course of your life. By deliberately choosing and maintaining assumptions that are consistent with your desires, you set in motion the forces that will transform those assumptions into physical fact. Now, I want to be very clear about something. When I speak of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, I am not talking about mere positive thinking or affirmations. This is something far deeper and more fundamental. I am talking about actually entering into the state of consciousness that would be yours if your desire were already realized. If you desire wealth, you must assume the feeling of wealth. How would you feel if you were already wealthy? What thoughts would occupy your mind? How would you carry yourself? What would your days be like? Enter fully into this state in your imagination and persist in it. This is the true meaning of faith. The faith that is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Some of you may be thinking, but Neville, I have tried to imagine good things and they haven't materialized. To you I say this: examine your assumptions. Not just your conscious assumptions, but the deeper assumptions that you may not even be aware of. For many people, their conscious desires are contradicted by unconscious assumptions of limitation, unworthiness, or impossibility. Remember the words of Scripture: "Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." Fear and doubt are the enemies of manifestation. They are negative assumptions that will bring about negative conditions, just as surely as positive assumptions will bring about positive conditions. This is why it is so important to guard the door of your mind, to be selective about what thoughts and feelings you entertain. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you require your participation. Guard your imagination creates only accordance with your assumptions. If you assume failure, restriction, and impossibility, then these will be your experience. But if you assume success, freedom, and infinite possibility, then these will become your reality. Let me tell you about another individual I knew. This was a woman who had been diagnosed with a serious illness. The doctors had given her a poor prognosis, suggesting that she had perhaps a year to live. Now, most people in such a situation would resign themselves to their faith, seeing the medical verdict as final and unalterable. But this woman understood the principle that I am sharing with you tonight. Instead of accepting the diagnosis as her reality, she began to imagine herself as completely healthy. She would fall asleep each night feeling the sensations of vibrant health and energy. During her waking hours, she maintained an assumption of perfect well-being regardless of any physical symptoms that might suggest otherwise. Her friends and family thought she was in denial, unable to face the reality of her condition. But she knew a deeper reality, the reality that external circumstances are simply reflections of internal states. She persisted in her assumption of health with unwavering faith. 6 months later, when she returned to her doctors for evaluation, they were astonished to find that the illness had gone into remission. Further tests showed no trace of the disease that had previously been so evident. The doctors called it a spontaneous remission, a medical anomaly that they couldn't explain, but the woman knew the truth. It was not an anomaly. It was the law of assumption at work. God, her own wonderful human imagination, had surprised her with the miracle of restored health. Now, I am not suggesting that you ignore medical advice or that every illness can be cured through imagination alone. The law works within the framework of nature, but I am saying that the power of your assumptions goes far beyond what conventional thinking recognizes. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you may well include transformations in your physical health, for with God all things are possible. Let us consider another aspect of this law. Many people believe that their lives that denied by their past, by their upbringing, their education, their previous successes or failures. They feel bound by their history, unable to break free from patterns established years or even decades ago. But I tell you this, your past has no power over you except the power that you give it through your assumptions. Your past does not determine your future. Your present assumptions do. You can revise your past and your imagination, thereby changing its influence on your present and future. This technique of revision is one of the most powerful tools available to you. Each night before you sleep, review the events of the day. If there were any events that were less than perfect, any interactions that were unpleasant, any circumstances that were challenging, revise them in your imagination. See them playing out differently in a way that is satisfying and harmonious. Feel the relief and gratitude of this reveal as though it had actually happened that way. What you are doing through this practice is not merely engaging in fantasy or escapism. You are actually rewriting the influence of these events on your subconscious mind. Remember, your subconscious does not distinguish between actual events and vividly imagined ones. By revising the events of your day, you are implanting new assumptions in your subconscious, assumptions that will bear fruit in your future experiences. The God within you, your own wonderful human imagination, will surprise you with the miraculous changes that come from this practice of revision. Relationships that were strained will mysteriously improve. Situations that seemed hopeless will resolve themselves in ways you could not have anticipated. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you include freedom from the limitations of your past. Now, let us speak about another crucial aspect of the law, the importance of feeling. It is not enough to merely visualize or intellectually affirm what you desire. You must capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feeling is the secret. Feeling is the prayer. When you pray, which is to say, when you imagine, feel as though your prayer has already been answered. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the relief, or whatever emotion would be appropriate if your desire were already a physical fact. These feelings are the creative force that impresses your assumption upon your subconscious mind. Think of it this way: your subconscious mind is the soil, and your assumptions clothed in feeling are the seeds. Just as a seed contains within itself all that is necessary to produce a full-grown plant, so does your assumption properly planted and nourished contain within itself all that is necessary to produce its physical equivalent. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you are already germinating in the soil of your subconscious mind. They are developing according to their own timets in ways that your conscious mind may not comprehend. Your role is not to figure out how these miracles will come about, but to maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled until your assumption hardens into fact. Some of you may be wondering about the time factor. How long, you ask, will it take for my assumption to become a reality? When will these life-changing miracles arrive? The answer is it takes as long as it takes for your assumption to become a koku. For some, this may be instantaneous. For others, it may require more persistence. The key is to continue in your assumption until it feels natural to you, until it becomes your predominant state of consciousness. Remember the words of Scripture. Though it tea for it, because it will surely come, it will not tea. The manifestation of your desire has its own appointed hour. It may come in a day, a week, a month, or longer, but come it must, for that is the law. As surely as a planted seed must grow and express itself, so must your assumption express itself in your physical reality. The God that is about to surprise you with life-changing miracles is not bound by human concepts of time or possibility. My ways are not your ways, says the Lord. The fulfillment of your desire may come through channels that you have not even considered, in ways so perfect that they could only be arranged by divine intelligence. I recall a woman who desired to be reunited with a family member from whom she had been estranged for many years. She did not know this person's whereabouts and had no means of establishing contact. From a rational perspective, The situation seemed hopeless. But she began to empty conversations with this family member, feeling the joy and love of their reconciliation as though it had already occurred. She persisted in this assumption for several months, never concerning herself with how the reunion would take place. Then, through a series of what appeared to be coincidences, but which were in fact the working out of the law, she discovered that this family member was living in a city she was planning to visit for a completely unrelated reason. Their path crossed in a way that seemed entirely accidental, but was in truth the fulfillment of her assumption. Their reunion was everything she had imagined it to be and more. The God within her, her own wonderful human imagination, had surprised her with a miracle that transformed not only her life, but the life of her family member as well. This is what I mean when I say that life-changing miracles are coming to you. Your consciousness properly directed is drawing to you all that is necessary for the fulfillment of your desires, but you must do your part. You must assume the state of consciousness that would be yours if your desires were already fulfilled. You must live from the end, not for the end. Living from the end means that you mentally dwell in the state of your wish fulfilled, looking back on your previous problems rather than looking forward to their solution. Instead of saying I will be wealthy, say I am wealthy. Instead of saying I will be healthy, say I am healthy. Feel the reality of these statements in the present moment. This is not lying to yourself. It is aligning yourself with a deeper truth, the truth that everything you could imagine already exists in potential and can be brought into manifestation through your assumption of its reality. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you require the shift in consciousness. They require you to die to your old concept of yourself and be reborn to a new concept. Except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. This rebirth is not a physical, psychological one, a transformation of yourself concept. Let me clarify something that is often misunderstood. When I speak of assuming that your desire is already fulfilled, I am not suggesting that you deny the evidence of your senses or pretend that external conditions are different from what they appear to be. Rather, I am inviting you to recognize a deeper truth that external conditions are reflections of internal states, and by changing the internal state, you inevitably change the external reflection. It is not necessary to deny present limitations. It is only necessary to shift your attention from them to the state you desire to express. Turn ye not to the right hand, nor to the left, says Scripture. Keep your focus on your assumption, neither denying present reality nor being hypnotized by it. Present reality is simply the harvest of past assumptions. By changing your assumptions now, you are planting the seeds for a different harvest. The God that is about to surprise you with life-changing miracles responds to your dominant feeling, your dominant state of consciousness. If you dwell in states of lack, limitation, or fear, then these will be reflected back to you in your external circumstances. But if you dwell in states of abundance, freedom, and love, then these will become your experience. This law is impersonal. It does not judge whether your desires are good or bad, worthy or unworthy. It simply brings into manifestation the state that you assume to be true. This is why it is so important to be deliberate about the states you occupy to choose consciously, rather than to be driven by habit or external circumstances. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you are the natural result of your deliberate choice to occupy higher states of consciousness. They are not rewards for good behavior or answers to petitionary prayer. They are the expressions of an immutable law that operates with mathematical precision, as within, so without, as above, so below. Now I want to address those of you who may be experiencing challenges in applying this law. Perhaps you have tried to assume the state of your wish fulfilled, but you find your old assumptions, your habitual ways of thinking and feeling reasserting themselves. This is natural. The mind, like water, tends to return to its accustomed level. The key is persistence. Each time you find yourself slipping back into old patterns, gently but firmly return to your new assumption. Do not berate yourself for these lapses. Simply recognize them and choose again. It is through this constant choosing, this continual return to the state of your wish fulfilled, that you build the new habit of thought and feeling that will transform your life. Remember the words of Scripture. be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This transformation is not an event, but a process. It is the gradual but certain shifting of your center of gravity from one state of consciousness to another. And as this shift occurs, the external conditions of your life must change to reflect your new internal reality. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you are already in process. They are taking shape according to the pattern of your assumptions. Even now, the circumstances and events that will surprise and delight you are being arranged, drawn to you by the magnetic power of your consciousness. Some of you may be wondering about specific techniques for impressing your desires upon your subconscious mind. While the principle remains the same, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. There are various methods that can assist you in this process. One powerful technique is what I call the state akin to sleep. This is the drowsy, relaxed state that precedes sleep, where the conscious mind is less active and the subconscious is more receptive to impression. In this state, imagine scenes that imply the fulfillment of your desire, feel their reality, fall asleep in this feeling, allowing it to sink deep into your subconscious mind during the hours of sleep. Another technique is the use of inner dialogue or self-talk. The conversations you have with yourself and the statements you make in your mind are powerful assumptions that shape your reality. Construct inner dialogues that imply the fulfillment of your desire. Hear yourself and others discussing your good fortune, your success, your happiness, or whatever it is that you desire to experience. Affirmative prayer is yet another approach. Unlike petitionary prayer, which asks for something to be given in the future, affirmative prayer gives thanks for the fulfillment of desire as though it had already occurred. Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, said Jesus at the tomb of Lazarus before Lazarus had risen. This is the secret of effective prayer, thanksgiving in advance. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you can be accelerated through these techniques. But remember, the techniques themselves are not the power. The power is consciousness, imagination, God within you. The techniques are simply aided to help you assume and maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Now I want to address a question that often arises. What about the desires of others? What if what you want conflicts with what someone else wants? Let me be clear. There is no competition in consciousness. There is no shortage of good, no limitation to what can be manifested. The fulfillment of your desire does not require the deprivation of another. In fact, when you understand this law correctly, you will see that the best way to secure your own good is to desire and imagine the good of others. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you is not merely ethical advice. It is a statement of cosmic law. What you assume for others tends to be reflected back to you. If you habitually imagine the best for others, you are simultaneously creating channels through which good can flow to you. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you include not only the fulfillment of your personal desires, but also the joy of seeing those you love prosper and thrive. As you elevate your own consciousness to states of abundance, love, and fulfillment, you automatically lift those around you. For we are all connected in the one divine consciousness. Let me share with you a story that illustrates this principle. I knew a teacher who worked in a school with a student who was considered troubled and difficult. This student was disruptive in class, disrespectful to teachers, and failing academically. The conventional approach would be to discipline the student to focus on correcting the undesirable behavior. But this teacher understood the law. Instead of focusing on the student's fault, she began to imagine him as respectful, engaged, and successful. When she looked at him, she did not see the troubled student that others saw. She saw the ideal that she held in her imagination. She persisted in this assumption despite all evidence to the contrary. Within weeks, the student's behavior began to change. He became more cooperative, more engaged in his studies. His grades improved dramatically. By the end of the term, he was one of the best students in the class. The teacher had not changed the student through external means. She had changed him by changing her concept of him. This is the power that is available to each of you. You can transform your relationships, your circumstances, your entire life. By changing your assumptions, the God within you, your own wonderful human imagination, will surprise you with miracles of transformation that extend far beyond your personal experience to touch the lives of all those with whom you interact. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you include a new understanding of your own divine nature and potential. As you apply this law and see its results in your life, you will come to know experientially what has been taught by the great spiritual traditions throughout history. That you are not separate from divine power, but are an individualized expression of it. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? This is not metaphorical language. It is a statement of literal truth. Your consciousness is God consciousness, individualized and focused at your particular center of awareness. As you align your individual will with the divine will, which is the will to express life, love, beauty, and abundance, you become a more perfect channel for the expression of divinity in the world. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you are expressions of your own divine nature, manifesting in ways that will astonish and delight you. They are not interventions from an external deity, but the natural flowering of the seed of divinity within you. Now, let us consider practical application of this law in an area that concerns many people: financial prosperity. Many of you desire greater abundance not out of greed, but from a desire to more fully express your gifts and to provide more adequately for those you love. How do you apply the law to manifest this desire? First, clarify in your mind exactly what you want. Be specific about the amount of money or the financial circumstances that would satisfy you. Then ask yourself, how would I feel if this were already my reality? What would my typical day be like? What thoughts would I think? What emotions would I experience? Now begin to live from that state in your imagination. Be the person who has already achieved this financial status. Feel the security, the freedom, the joy of having your desire fulfilled. Pay particular attention to the relief that comes from knowing that all your financial needs are met abundantly. As you fall asleep at night, construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. Perhaps it is a scene of you looking at your bank statement and seeing the desired amount. Perhaps it is a conversation with a friend in which you discuss your financial good fortune. Make the scene as vivid and as real as you can, and fall asleep in the feeling of its reality. During your waking hours, whenever thoughts of financial lack or limitation arise, gently return to your assumption of abundance. Do not fight against the negative thoughts. Simply replace them with your chosen assumption. Remember, what you resist persists. What you accept and then replace is transformed. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you include financial surprises, unexpected income, opportunities, ideas for creating wealth, solutions to financial problems that will arrive in ways you cannot now. Your role is not to figure out how these miracles will come, but to maintain your assumption of abundance until it manifests in your experience. Before proceeding further, I want to emphasize an important truth. The outer world is dead. It has no positive power. It is purely effect, never cause. The only created power is consciousness, your consciousness. I am the vine, you are the branches. A branch cannot bear fruit of itself. It must remain in the vine. This I am is your true identity, the creative center of your being. When you say I am, you are proclaiming your divine nature. What follows that I am determines the direction of your life. I am poor, I am unworthy, I am unlucky. These are misuses of your created power. I am wealthy, I am worthy, I am fortunate. These direct your power toward positive manifestation. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you begin with a reformation of your self-talk. Your habitual I am statements. Be vigilant about what you attach to I am, for you are literally defining yourself and your experience through these distillations. This brings us to another crucial aspect of the law of detachment. Many people, in their eagerness to see their desires fulfilled, become anxious and doubtful when manifestation does not occur according to their timetable. This anxiety and doubt are assumptions of failure or delay, and these will manifest just as surely as assumptions of success. The key is to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and then to release it, trusting in the perfect working of the law. Having done all, stand. Do not keep checking for results, digging up the seed to see if it is growing. Your desire, once clearly defined and impressed upon your subconscious mind through the feeling of its fulfillment, is on its way to manifestation. Trust the process. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you require this trust, this letting go. Paradoxically, it is in releasing your attachment to outcomes that you allow them to manifest most quickly and perfectly. Thy will be done is not a statement of resignation, but of alignment with the highest creative force. The will of God, which is your own truth, will when you are aligned with your divine nature. This brings us to the concept of divine timing. Sometimes what appears to be a delay in the manifestation of your desire is actually perfect timing. The bridge of incidents that leads to the fulfillment of your desire may require certain elements to be in place, certain people to be available, certain conditions to be met. The law is infallible, but it works within the framework of natural processes. I knew a woman who desired a specific job at a particular company. She applied for the position, but was told that it had already been filled. Rather than accepting this as final, she continued to assume that the job was hers. She imagined herself working at the company, enjoying the responsibilities, receiving the salary. She lived in this assumption despite all external evidence to the contrary. 3 months later, she received a call from the company. The person who had been hired for the position had unexpectedly resigned, and they wanted to know if she was still interested. Not only did she get the job, but they offered her a higher salary than had originally been advertised. The God within her, her own wonderful human imagination, had surprised her with a miracle that exceeded her expectations. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you may also exceed your expectations. The law does not limit you to what you can imagine. It can bring you exceedingly abundantly above all that you ask or think. Your conscious desire sets the direction. But the infinite intelligence of your deeper mind, your divine nature, may fulfill that desire in ways far more wonderful than you have conceived. Now let us address another important aspect of the law of the role of action. Some people believe that once they have clearly imagined and felt the reality of desire, they need do nothing but wait for it to manifest. Others believe that they must take continuous action, striving and struggling to achieve their goals. Both of these extremes misunderstand the true nature of the law. Effective action springs naturally from your state of consciousness. When you have truly assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will be moved to take whatever actions are appropriate to the manifestation of your desire. These actions will not feel like strain or struggle. They will feel natural and enjoyable. You will find yourself doing the right thing at the right time without excessive analysis or effort. This is what Scripture means by the Spirit of the Lord moved him. It is your new state of consciousness, your assumption, that moves you to the right action. You do not need to plan every detail. You need only maintain your assumption, and the appropriate avenues of expression will open before you. The life-changing miracles that are coming to include a new experience of action. Action that is inspired rather force. Action that is the expression of your being rather than an attempt to become. This is the true meaning of efforts to success. Not that you do nothing, but that what you do flows naturally from who you have become in consciousness. Let me emphasize again, the law we are discussing is not theoretical. It is practical and demonstrable. I have seen it work in my own life and in the lives of countless others who have applied it. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you are not wishful thinking. They are the predictable result of your application of an immutable principle. But this principle requires your cooperation. It requires you to be vigilant about your mental and emotional states, to consciously choose the assumptions that align with your desires rather than defaulting to habitual patterns of thought and feeling. It requires you to persist in your new assumption until it becomes your predominant state of consciousness. The Bible tells us, "Be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only." The word is your assumption, your concept of yourself, and your world. To be a doer of the word is to consistently embody the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. It is to live from your assumption until it becomes your reality. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you are the natural fruit of your consistent application of this principle. As you sow in consciousness, so shall you reap in experience. This is the law and the prophets. Now I want to address those of you who have specific health concerns. The same principle applies to the manifestation of physical well-being as to any other desire. Your body is a reflection of your consciousness. By changing your concept of yourself from one of illness or limitation to one of vitality and wholeness, you set in motion the forces that will transform your physical condition. Again, I am not suggesting that you ignore medical advice or that imagination alone can cure all physical conditions. The law works within the framework of nature and often employs natural means to accomplish its ends. But I am saying that your assumptions about your health have a profound influence on your physical state, and by changing these assumptions, you can facilitate healing and restoration. Imagine yourself as vibrantly healthy. Feel the energy, the strength, the freedom from pain or limitation that would be yours if your body were functioning perfectly. Give thanks for this state as though it were already manifest. When symptoms or medical diagnosis suggest otherwise, acknowledge them, but do not give them power. Return to your assumption of health, knowing that as you persist in this assumption, your body must respond accordingly. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you include transformations in your physical condition that may well astonish your physicians. The creative power of consciousness extends to every cell of your body, reorganizing matter in accordance with your dominant assumptions. Let us now consider relationships. Many of you desire more loving, harmonious, fulfilling relationships, whether with a romantic partner, family members, friends, or colleagues. How do you apply the law to manifest this desire? The key is to assume the feeling of the relationship you desire. How would you feel if you're already experiencing the love, the respect, the appreciation that you seek? What would your thoughts be? How would you carry yourself? What kind of conversations would you have? Enter into this state in your imagination. Feel the reality of being loved, appreciated, respected. When you interact with the person or people involved, see them not as they have been in your experience, but as they would be in your fulfilled desire. Remember, everyone in your life is yourself pushed out, a reflection of your consciousness. By changing your concept of them, you change the reflection. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you include transformations in your relationships that may seem miraculous. People who have been difficult may suddenly become cooperative. Situations that have been tense may unexpectedly resolve themselves. New relationships may enter your life that embody exactly the qualities you have been imagining. This principle also applies to those who desire specific relationship with a specific person. While it is true that every person has free will, it is also true that your consciousness influences your entire world, including the people in it. By assuming that the person you desire returns your feelings, you are not violating their free will. You are creating a state of consciousness in which they freely choose to respond to you in the way that you desire. This is not manipulation. It is the operation of a cosmic law. Draw nigh to God, and He will draw nigh to you. As you assume the state of consciousness in which your desire is fulfilled, you draw to yourself all that is necessary for its manifestation, including the free cooperation of others. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you include relationships that fulfill your deepest needs for love, companionship, and mutual respect. These relationships will come not through coercion or manipulation, but through the natural magnetism of your transformed consciousness. Now I want to address a common misconception: the idea that certain desires are too big, too ambitious, or too unlikely to be realized through this law. Let me be absolutely clear. There is no limit to what can be accomplished through the proper application of the law of assumption. All things are possible to him that believeth. The only limitations are those you accept in your own consciousness. If you can conceive it, you can achieve it, provided that you can assume the feeling of its reality and persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you transcend what conventional thinking would consider possible. They are limited only by the scope of your imagination and the intensity of your faith. Faith in this context does not mean belief in something unseen. It means fidelity to your assumption, loyalty to the state you have chosen to occupy in consciousness. It means persisting in that state despite all contradictory evidence, knowing that the external must eventually conform to the internal. The life-changing miracles that are coming to you require this kind of faith. Not wishful thinking, not desperate hoping, but calm, confident knowing. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Your persistent assumption is the substance from which your desire will be fashioned in the world of form. As our time together this evening draws to a close, I want to leave you with a final thought. The God that is about to surprise you with life-changing miracles is not a distant deity in disguise. It is not a power separate from yourself that must be petitioned or pleased. It is the divine principle within you, your own wonderful human imagination. This God, this I am, is your very being, your consciousness, your awareness. It is the only created power in the universe, and it resides within you as your true identity. All things were made by it, and without it was not anything made that was made. Let me make one thing abundantly clear at the outset of our discussion. When I speak of God ordering your steps, I am not referring to some external deity who manipulates your life like pieces on a chessboard. No, I am speaking of the God who is your own wonderful human imagination, the God who is the very consciousness that dwells within you. For consciousness is the one and only reality, and your consciousness is God in action. Tonight, I wish to share with you how God, your own wonderful human imagination, orders your steps every single day. For once you truly comprehend this principle, you will never again feel lost, abandoned, or at the mercy of chance. You will know with absolute certainty that every event, every encounter, every circumstance in your life is divinely orchestrated by the God within you. Let us begin with a fundamental truth. The world that you perceive is nothing more than a mirror reflecting the contents of your consciousness. As within, so without. Your inner assumptions, beliefs, and feelings are continually being projected outward and solidified into what you call your reality. This is how God orders your steps through the power of your assumptions. Consider for a moment what you assume to be true about yourself, about others, about the world at large. These assumptions, these fixed beliefs are not mere thoughts. They are creative forces that shape and mold the substance of your experience. When you assume that life is difficult, that people cannot be trusted, that success is beyond your reach, you are in that moment ordering your steps toward experiences that will confirm these assumptions. Conversely, when you assume the best, when you dwell in the certainty that you are guided, protected, and divinely supported, you are ordering your steps toward manifestations of these higher truths. This is the law, and the law is God in action. But how, you might ask, does this process unfold in the practical reality of your day-to-day life? Let me illustrate with a simple example. Imagine that you awaken in the morning with a feeling of joy and anticipation. You dwell in the assumption that this day will bring wonderful opportunities and delightful encounters. As you move through your day, you find yourself naturally drawn to certain locations, certain people, certain activities. Perhaps you decide on a whim to take a different route to work or to visit a cafe you've never been to before. In that cafe, you meet someone who introduces you to an idea or opportunity that perfectly aligns with a desire you've been nurturing in your heart. Was this chance? Was it coincidence? No, my dear friend. It was God ordering your steps. The assumption of joy and opportunity that you embodied in the morning was the divine directive that orchestrated each moment of your day, leading you unerringly to the fulfillment of that assumption. Now let us delve deeper into the mechanism by which God orders your steps. Everything begins with a state of consciousness. A state is a mood, an attitude, a feeling about yourself or life. At any given moment, you are dwelling in a peace.